Good morning, Zio here, and today we talk about Epic versus the world. That's right, Epic has sued Apple and Google for, what was it again? It was, something about something practices. That sounds good. Slap that on the title. Let's get into it, shall we? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should go ahead and do so now. Slap the like button, share it out with the world. But Epic has sued Apple and Google for, and I still can't remember it, but essentially strong-arming the industry and making a monopoly, as they would put it. That's what it is. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, making a monopoly of things and yada yada, this, that, and the other. And I'm going to actually have to defend Apple for a change, and Google. Because that's still part of this, but it's not that big of a thing, right? Like, it's still part of the lawsuit. It's got its own lawsuit and everything. But at the same time, most of the ammo is being used towards Apple. And, as much as I, want to back Epic, how they're going about it, it's kind of wrong. It's, you've got one greedy large company going after another even larger greedy company, and to be totally honest, I think Epic's going to lose it. Now, I do have a theory on why they're going about it, so stay put. I'm going to talk about that, but we're going to just sort of go over it real quick, sort of a Cliff Notes version, but this is how this played out, right? First, I saw this, okay? Now, not this specifically, this just happened to be a video I found that did exactly what I was wanting to do anyway, so I'm using it. It's linked in the description down below, but as you can see, this is a trailer that Fortnite released, right? And my middle child had came up to me when all this stuff sparked and was like, what is this? What does this mean, this free Fortnite thing? And I went ahead and I was like, oh yeah, I can get behind this. Tweeted that out, parlayed it out, whatever. And at the time I didn't actually know what was going on. I was just like, yeah, sure, free Fortnite. That sounds good. Especially when this is all you saw, right? Which is the thing on the right. And of course made me think of the thing on the left, and I was like, that looks like Apple's old 1984 commercial. Whoa, so I hadn't done any digging yet, and I did. I finally took the time to dig. And we're just going to have this thing on loop over here in the background as we talk, because it's not really a whole lot for me to read today. But essentially, Epic is suing Apple for a monopoly, right? Apple charges a 30%, I guess, surcharge-esque type thing to use their store to make transactions specifically, right? And we talked about this before with Facebook and it was Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft and Facebook chastising chastising Apple for that particular thing. And unfortunately, my stance has slightly changed from them, because I looked at it and was like, 30%, that is really, really expensive. They force you in their terms of service to use their payment processing service, essentially, and then they skim 30% off of that for every transaction. So for every dollar, they make 30% of that kind of deal. Or if you spend 99 cents, 30% of that, it's not much. But if you do drop like $100 for gems or something, they get 30% of that every transaction, as well as a small fee to essentially exist on the store, or at least to put it up the first time when it goes onto the store and stuff. And as I did some digging, and I can't really find the hard numbers on Google, but essentially we've got like a few Play stores for mobile devices, right? You've got Samsung Play or whatever it is, Google Play, Apple Store Play, whatever they call theirs, on the iOS, and there's not really a whole lot to pick from when it comes to that. It's kind of like on PC, where Steam and GOG were like the places to go until Epic stepped into the picture, right? So, when they're the only ones available, you kind of have to adhere to what it is that they want. And if you buy an iOS device, what is already on your phone? Well, it's going to be the Apple Store. And if you've got an Android device, what is always on your phone is going to be the Google Store. If you've got a Samsung device, it's going to have the Google plus the Samsung Store, which I have never ever used, but is always on my phones, by default. And I have a theory of what they're shooting for here, but the 30% is what really was getting me the last time we talked about it, right? And it turns out that seems to be more around, from what I've been gathering and hearing from other people, that actually seems to be more of a industry standard when it comes to mobile devices. And it's a high industry standard because Steam doesn't charge 30% every transaction you make, but it does charge a percentage for every sale that is created, right? So if you went and bought Skyrim, Steam is going to charge you a small percentage. It's not really that big of a percentage. And then for Apple or Epic, when you use the Epic Store, they charge an even less percentage, especially if you're using their engine. They charge a less percent every time your game is sold. And, for the most part, when it comes to being developer friendly, Epic is the better place to go to, where you can get more bang for your buck every time you get a sale, while Steam is not. But when it comes to storefronts for the consumer, Steam is definitely the better option, and Epic is a lackluster piece of garbage, in my opinion. Of course, hot garbage. But what I have a feeling here's my theory real quick, is, Epic might be making a play for mobile gaming, as in their own storefront. Now, years and years ago, we had this battle between Apple and Microsoft. What did this battle actually do? They claimed that Microsoft had a monopoly, essentially, on the personal computer side of things, because they were giving away software that Apple was incapable of giving away. What was the software? Well, it was just the Microsoft Suite. Now, this is, of course, the TLDR version of how this played out. You're welcome to go check it all out and look it up if you want to get more of an in-depth, detailed how that whole lawsuit and everything came out. But in the end, Apple won. Okay? That's why when you buy a PC with Windows on it, you don't get the Microsoft Suite for free anymore. You have to pay for it. You may get like a free trial or whatever, 7 days, a month, whatever they've got it set up for when you first log into it and stuff. But for the most part, you have to pay for that software now if you want to use it. And that's thanks to Apple. Large part into Apple, because then that broke it up, and they no longer was giving that for free. So if you wanted that, you would have to then think, well, Macintosh versus PC, either way I'm still going to have to buy my Excel version or whatever from either Microsoft or Apple, depending on who I'm using, or their word processing and stuff like that, separate. So that's how that played out. My theory is Epic is going around the same way. Now, Epic is by far nowhere where I would call a saint of a company or anything, especially, having a percentage owned by Tencent, among other things, and well, I'm not going to get into that. But, Epic did come into the PC market with the Epic Store. I first was, of course, pretty optimistic about that. And then when they started doing the exclusive thing, where they started stealing games just weeks from launch that had already had a launch date on Steam, it's really soured that note to a big thing. Anyway, it was really, really bad and really scummy when something was about to come out just a week or two from now. You've already got it on your list or whatever, you're ready to purchase it on Steam, and then they go, oh, hey guys, sorry, we're now going Epic exclusive because they gave us a ton of freaking money, and we'll be out on Steam in a year or so after that. And that was really, really scumming tactics, and that is kind of the only way that Epic I think, actually propelled itself the way it was. Other than being the only place to get Fortnite on the PC, that is probably the only reason they were able to propel themselves to where they are currently now, is because of gaining all those deals and, you know, throwing money around because they had the money from Fortnite. And that was pretty scummy. Now, my theory, which I keep saying I'm going to get into and then diverge off of it, is Epic is trying to make maybe their own mobile store, right? And this is how they plan to do it. They plan to sue Apple and Google using around the same arguments if they can get in that far into the lawsuit, right? Which they are kind of already, and they keep using their old things or their old mottos against them in the actual lawsuit itself, like do no evil and stuff like that, in their opening statements and things, you know. And they're going to probably try and get it set up to where if you go and buy a Samsung phone, for instance, it no longer, and it's running Android, it's no longer going to have the Google Play Store on default on the home screen or something anymore, right? Or if you buy an iPhone 38, it's not going to have Apple's store on the store, or, you know, on the front right there for you to use automatically defaultly in it. You're going to have to go to the browser and go download the actual storefront that you wish to use. And then, of course, they're going to buy up those keywords in the searches real quick, I'm sure. So when you go ahead and Google or type in Apple App Store, or, you know, iOS App Store, Google Play Store, the first result is going to be the Epic storefront for mobile. That's my thought of what their plan is. That's what they want to go at, you know, straight in, you know, at the jugular and take over. And then, of course, they're probably going to play that exclusive game that they did again. Now, why do I have to stand behind Apple with all this? Besides the whole 30% possible, you know, being a standard in the mobile market, it's the way Epic did this. Epic knew it was going to happen because they planned it. This trailer came out as soon as it happened, right? And that takes time to make, which means they already knew they were going to do this. They were going to file this lawsuit the second it happened, launch this trailer, get their fan base of 12-year-olds. Yeah, 12-year-olds. That went there. Anyway, all riled up on the Twitters and the Facebooks and everything, and try and kickstorm this big thing, right? So what did they do? They violated the TOS of both storefronts on purpose. They went ahead and they already hid and injected some code into the system to where their payment thing will, or where it will allow you to come up and it will ask you to either use their direct payment, which gets you cheaper prices on buying whatever it is Fortnite calls their currencies and stuff, or you can use the Apple or Google Play payment system where the prices are more expensive. And then, you know, to make themselves really look like the good guys, of course, if you're on PC, you automatically get the discounted prices because, you know, we're not going to just leave the PC players out in the cold or anything, and the consoles and stuff like that. Right? So that's where we stand right now. And due to scummy tactics like that, where they purposely broke the TOS just to kickstart this, I went from, oh, I could get behind that, to no, that was no. That's not cool. It would have been a different thing if Apple just was like, yeah, we don't like you, get lost. But when you force them to actually enforce their TOS, it unfortunately makes me like the other scummy company better, because then it goes, oh, even though Fortnite is like a multi-billion-dollar business at this point, or million, or whatever it happens to be sitting at, they'll enforce their TOS evenly, which is something that we don't see a whole lot of these days. So, you know, I gotta side with Apple on that one. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. See ya! Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that
suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.